Welcome to our third lesson on the maple leaf rag. We made it as far as the ninth measure here last time. And what I want to have you review the notation, make sure you have all the right numbers written on here. I wrote it a little bit darker in pen. I would recommend that when you write on your paper, you use pencil in case there's something we need to change. Like, for example, I want to remind you of this area here that we changed. We're going to be doing the pinky on the right hand here. It's going to be doing double duty in the same way that the thumb was doing double duty up here by playing both the F and the E. The pinky is going to play the D flat and the C, both of those notes. So it'll be doing double duty. There's some flexibility in the fingering here, so just because I've written in a certain fingering that seems to be the most ergonomic way to play the piece, if you find a different way and you end up doing different fingering, that's okay. There's a section right here where when I was reviewing the last lesson, I noticed that I was actually playing this note here with my second finger without even thinking about it. And so, if it works out for you that you prefer playing this one with your second finger, as you get more comfortable with this, you'll find the fingering that works best for you, because everyone's hands are different sizes. I want us to write in the measure numbers because this piece does not have that. So the way we write in measure numbers is we write a number. So you might wonder why I'm putting the 1 here in this measure. It's the first full measure, is measure number 1. So this is a first measure that has the pickup note here. That doesn't count as measure number 1. So measure number 1 is here. So put a 1 with a box around it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and oftentimes the number of measures that are written in have to do with phrasing. For us, I just want to say 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to do 5 here. Five, 6, 7, 8. Then we'll do 9. Something different is happening here. And you want to put a box around it so that you're not wondering if it's your 9th finger or something. It's measure 9. So measure 9, 10, 11, and 12 is there. It makes what we call a phrase. The first thing to point out is do you see this little curved line here? And it just kind of goes off the page, and then it comes out from nowhere down here. If this measure had been put right up here, I can actually do that. You'd be able to see what's happening here. So you see that is a tie, and it goes from one measure to the next. Let's see, we don't have an example of that previously. So here the ties were within the same measure. Here the tie is going outside of it, the measure, into the next measure. So it's an 8th note tied to an 8th note. So that's going to be some syncopation that we're going to have to tackle here. Okay, so right now we're going to just tackle this next phrase, measures 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that's 4 measures for this lesson. And we'll basically have the whole song pretty much learned by the end of this lesson. Then we go back and repeat, and it's all the same things that we've already learned. But it's going to make this very tricky is it's 4 and, but it's tied to the next 8th note in the next measure. So the ragtime has a certain feel. It's kind of like when you learn a new dance step. Sometimes it's really awkward at first, and then you get to know the dance and suddenly it just kind of clicks and makes sense. Same kind of thing is going to happen here. So it's kind of hard to get a feel for it. You just have to keep working at it, and then once it clicks in, you'll have it. Let's start writing in here. So we'll have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we repeat. So let's see what's happening with our fingers here. Okay, so I've written in the finger numbers here. So this is something for you to just go ahead and copy onto yours. This is, you should write in tie here, and then tie over here. And then just write in for the right hand, you'll have 5, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then another tie. And then the 1 circled, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1. For the left hand, it's you copy in what I wrote here. So there's the 5 and then 1, 3 chord, 5, 1, 3, 5. Then circle the 1, 3 for this one. And then 5 again, 1, 3, 5. Then we have 1, 2, and 1, 3. So it's, you can see how repetitive it is here. So the left hand won't be too hard. So for the rhythm, remember the chords are going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So this all applies to that note. The tie here is going to be the and 1 is all going to be that note. And this one is tricky too. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That goes to this note here. And 1 and 2 and 3 and rest. So first thing here at the keyboard, I want to call attention to the 5th measure here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We wrote the 5 with the box around it. And if you remember, I was actually more comfortable playing this second note here with my second finger rather than my third. So I'll show you what that looks like now. We have the left hand 4th finger, and then I'll show you what it looks like, well, actually both ways. So this is playing the A flat with my second finger. The reason why I prefer doing that, I think, is because it's a bigger stretch over here when you reach up for the D flat. So it's just natural for me to play this note with my second finger. So it'll be the 4. But you could also do it with your 3rd finger, but you can see there's a bigger stretch here between your 3rd and 5th finger. But it would be this, you could do the same thing. It's a little bit more clumsy for me to do it that way, and you're kind of prone to bumping one of the keys accidentally. Okay, so now let's move on to measure 9. Remember, we had moved our hand position of the right hand, so now it was the A flat and F chord, and with the 1 and 5, so it's bigger than the 5 finger position. It's a bigger chord than that. And then we have the 2, 5 with the left hand. So it's. Then you have the 5th finger here for those 2 eighth notes there. And remember, it's going to be tied. So first I'll just demonstrate for you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now for 1, we will be playing the left hand note there, but we won't play anything for the right hand. And then we'll come in playing the 8th notes with the quarter notes there in the left hand. So let's do that again. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so the one thing we need to point out here is this isn't going to be the standard 5-finger position for the right hand here. So we go from this chord, and then we're here with we're using our 2 and 3 on the C and D, and we're going to skip the B, and our thumb is going to be playing the A. So let's just do the right hand alone. So it's 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you're going to hop down here. This is the natural sign, which cancels out this flat sign. Same thing here. We had the flat sign, and it's going to be canceled out. So the way that looks here is you're here with the circled 1 because you've moved your hand position from here. Up here you were using, remember, the 2, 3, and then skipping down to the A. So where we go from the, and then we go down here. So we go the 1, 2, then the flat, then back down to the 1, then the 2, and then the natural. So it's not the flat. And it's a quarter note mixed in there with all those eighth notes. Okay, so let's take a look at what the left hand is doing. So we had the 2, 5 up here, then a rest, and then we go 5, and then the 1, 3. We have the natural sign there. I guess they want to make sure you cancel out this flat sign. One bit of trivia that you may already know is that if you have this is called an accidental. So we have the key signature, which has any sharps or flats written in, so that every time you see this, as it turns out to be a B, it's going to be flatted. Then you have something that's called an accidental, and that means you're applying a sharp or a flat to something that is not in the key signature. When you apply an accidental sharp or flat, it will apply to all the other notes of that type in that measure. So like here, they only applied 1 flat to this note, but you know that these 2 are going to have that flat as well. But then when you get out of that measure, it's no longer in effect. So technically you don't need this natural sign here because it was already canceled out when you got into this measure. So it's now here's the 1, 3. It's you're going from here to here. Then look here. This is a C and a B, so that is going to be flatted. So, and then here they're canceling out the flat in the key signature with the B there. So if you want to, you can either write in the flat off to the left of the note here to remind yourself that that is a B flat. You don't want to play this. That won't sound good. So you want to have the B flat C as it's written there. And so you can either use a highlighter, a colored pencil, or you can just write in the flat. And then let's see if there's any other flats here to note. So they canceled that flat there. Then we have a bunch of accidentals. I think that pretty much might be it, is the main place where the B flat occurs is actually right here. Okay, so let's play it through a couple of times, and then that'll wrap up this lesson. So let's start here at measure 9. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then it goes on, same thing. And then it here, you see the 2 dots here. It's going to go back to the beginning. Okay, the second ending here is different than here. It's pretty much the same thing except it's an octave higher, so that gives a little bit different sound, and it helps the piece just to conclude. So we can go over that at our last lesson, and we'll try putting it all together at that time. So I hope you have fun working on that this coming week. See you next time.